Okay. Welcome, everybody. We are here for our fourth class of Solid Foundations. I want to give a heads up that after this class, even though I don't not think we're going to finish, but we will be taking a short little break because the Weiss family will be out of town. I don't actually announce that in my emails unless it's relevant to living Chassidus. So,
are you gonna continue then? Like, is that your plan, or is-
possibly depending on the. I mean, we do want to continue depending on the dates. I just want to give another heads up. We have as of now not all, a big majority of all of our major events in the Living Chassidus Google Calendar. Everything has been put between now and January, and we continue to be moving forward. So if you are curious about our upcoming events between now and January, check out the Google Calendar. If you don't know how to join the Google Calendar, then message the Living Chassidus number, and she'll help you. Okay, tonight we are learning. Honestly, I was having a very hard time preparing for this year because it's a tough year to teach on the day where painful things happened. So we are learning Le'ole Nishmas for our dear friend's father who passed away on Monday, and he was buried today. So I just want to give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Tonight's class is Le'ole Nishmas Nissim ben Nissim Hakain. And we also want to daven and send a lot of love and support to our dear friend Esther Malka bas Chaya Chana, and she should have only revealed good, her and her entire family, and we should all be reunited with all of our loved ones right now. So, as I was saying, it was hard for me to prepare for this year. It just felt like, on the one hand, how can we talk about Emuna and Bitachon and all of these wonderful things when like people are really suffering very, very painful things, but that's the point. I think this is where we need to lean into it, and I think we discussed it in depth in the last class that we can't ever say this to anybody else. Emuna and Bitachon is something, it's a muscle that you have to work on your own, and you have to process that in your own struggles. And to come and to say to someone else, well, this was for the good and this was for the, it's not right. So so this is our class where I guess we're each taking our own lessons for our own personal lives and not in order to preach at anybody else going through a struggle. So could someone remind me which section we left off at last time? I think we finished. Did we finish Kavanah Sabriya or? No, I think we're up to page 17, awareness of Kavanah Sabriya. No. Does anyone remember? I didn't put a little note. Did we finish Kavanah Sabriya?
I don't think we started to.
We didn't start Kavanah Sabriya? Really? I think we did. Okay, well, I guess we'll start from Kavanah Sabriya again, just in case. Okay, so I guess we're on page 14. And yeah, perfect. Okay, so we're on page 14, section 4, Kavanah Sabriya. Would somebody like to read, not on camera, just for reading purposes? Yeah, thank you. That'd be really helpful.
All right. Why did Hashem create the heavens and the earth? Chazal tell us that the answer is in the very first word of the accounts of creation. Parashis bara Elokim, for the sake of two things which are called rashis, the Torah and the Yidden. The Torah also tells us that both Torah and the neshamas of the Yidden existed before the world was created. That means that Hashem didn't create the world so he could create the Torah and the Yidden. Hashem created the world so that the Yidden could keep the Torah specifically in a physical world. When we set out to fulfill that purpose, a question immediately arises. Why didn't Hashem create a world in which our needs were assured as a matter of fact? That would free us from both the practical and the emotional burdens that result from the struggle to obtain our needs, and leave us free to focus exclusively on serving Hashem. For that matter, why does our service of Hashem itself require effort? Why didn't Hashem just create us with a refined nature, the ability and inclination to learn, and the sensitivity and focus to daven as we should?
Okay, so let's think about that question for a minute. Wouldn't it be nice? Sorry. Wouldn't it be great if we didn't? I mean, I think we've all said this before. I remember doing this.
Yeah, we got it to like age 17.
That's what I thought. Can I know
Because
her?
I was saying, I remember that the struggle is precious because it's a struggle, and then we
Got into it.
discussed that. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's do a summary and then skip forward. So, wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to work? Like, it was interesting tonight during one of my kids may or may not have lost something of some value. Not a ton of value, but enough value that for the parents it was like, ooh. And we kind of had a beautiful discussion about where does money come from. They're like, the bank. They're like, well, how do we buy things? They're like, you tap your card. So we're like, okay, so how does money get in the bank? It's like, it's in the bank. So we took it back to, in order for money to be in the bank in our account, mommy and Abba have to work for it. We work and then we get paid, and therefore we are able to buy you all these things and whatever, pay for school and food and etc. And it was a very interesting point for the kids to realize it's not just like a magical plastic that you just like tap it and like things show up, there's work that's involved in this world. And we had to explain to them that every mommy and tati everywhere have to do something in order for their plastic tapping machine magical card to then also be able to purchase their things. And I think it's a very interesting aspect of our world that Hashem could have created differently. Like, he could have, the same way as he could have created us upside down, he could have chosen, I mean, who knows, maybe we are upside down.
That's what we're used to. I'm just imagining us hanging upside down.
True, the upside down hanging part. Right, exactly. That said, he could have created that we don't have to work for our money. He could have created that we don't have to work hard. He could have created that relationships would go easily and smoothly. He could have created that everybody would have beautiful communication. He could have created that everyone's emotionally and mentally healthy. You know what I mean? Like, and physically healthy. And so why did he create it this way? So to skip forward, and whoever has the recording can listen to what we taught more in depth about this section. But he had that already. He created malachim. He created perfect worlds before, and there was nothing that was there for him. Because as we made the example last time, marrying Alexa is not thrilling. It's that
it's perfect. It's not going to be exciting anymore.
Correct. There's no realness to it. If every time I say, please tell me you love me, and Alexa goes, Michal, I love you, doesn't fulfill that need. It doesn't quite, not quite. It doesn't at all.
Not emotional. Correct.
And it's not just not emotional, she could really do like, wow, Michal, I'm crazy about you. You know, like she could be quote unquote emotional, but it's the aspect that it's another person that could choose not to love who is choosing to love. And that's the relationship that Hashem created. Hashem created a world that's imperfect because he wants a real relationship with real people. He really wants us to be here and involved. And as we said, the example that he gave in here is that he could, I mean, now we all know AI could make quote unquote perfect images, right? Perfect paintings. But why do we want the real stroke on canvas, like the artist made it and it has like it's there. The artist's work is there. We want that, and it's more valuable because there's a possibility of making a mistake. There's a possibility, there's a struggle that the artist put into making this painting that makes it quote unquote perfectly imperfect.
Like you were talking about, like the tapestry. The,
Yes.
Like, the front could look amazing, but like in the back,
It's like
all these. It looks like all the yarn is like everywhere and doesn't make any sense.
Correct. And I think that's when we remind ourselves of this, I think it puts us in the game. We're not just pawns being moved around black to white, white to black. We're here, and Hashem wants us. Hashem wants our imperfections. Hashem wants us to make a mistake and say, okay, I made a boo-boo, let's fix it. Hashem wants us to see a choice. I could eat something that's treif, and I could eat something that's kosher. Hashem, I'm choosing to eat your kosher food because I love you. And it's a real relationship. When a husband goes and shops and he thinks, you know, what flowers does my wife like? Or does she even like flowers? Some husbands just buy flowers because this is like the thing that I got told to do. But like, which one does she like? And he makes the effort to do it for her. Some husbands come and they drop the flowers on the table, Erev Shabbos, as she's setting the table. And some husbands come and say, my darling wife, this is for you. And I thought about you and I know how much you appreciate flowers for Shabbos. Thank you for all your hard work this week. Right? It's that realness. It's that real relationship that he wants. And that's Kavanas Abriya. Hashem created us because he wants us in this relationship. Does that make sense? So far, so good? That's a summary-ish.
I think we're up to this brings Hashem's presence. We were somewhere in that, like either that paragraph or the next paragraph.
Okay, so how about we start a little bit earlier so we get into that mindset?
Okay.
Do you mind starting on page 16 by nature? Thank you.
By nature, the mind can control and direct the heart. Even our anatomy has the head placed above the heart, unlike animals. But our instincts and emotions have years to take hold as habit before our minds mature and the Yetzer Hatov is able to weigh in properly. This sets the stage for the great struggle of our lives, which is the essence of our Avodas Hashem. That struggle is precious because it's a struggle. Our Yetzer Hara pushes us to surrender to the instincts and emotions emerging from the world around us, making every effort to drag us, heart, mind, and soul, into the illusion. Pulling us in the other direction, our Yetzer Hatov tries to bring the clarity of Torah to the fore, guiding us not only to resist the call of our untamed hearts and of the world around us, but to harness and excite our hearts with the passion and delight of holiness and truth. Every thought we have, every impulse or interest we experience stems from one of these two sources. There is no neutral. An idea or impulse either expresses and cements the illusion in which we live, weakening our hold on the truth, or it flows from and affirms the truth, rejecting the illusion. This is an important thing to keep in mind. Many wrong and dangerous ideas are accepted into our minds and hearts without scrutiny because we believe neutrality is possible.
Yeah, let's pause there. Okay, So, in essence, this may be like hard or obnoxious or a struggle for people, which we're trying to figure out that a struggle is not a bad thing. But in essence, there is, when it comes to right and wrong, when it comes to what's healthy for us, what's healthy for our mindset, there's one way and there's the other way. There's, for example, there is, let's say, chas v'shalom, someone is struggling with a job, whether their boss is really, really hard for them, really hard with them, or maybe they're not getting paid enough and they're not getting enough of a raise, or whatever is that struggle. We could come and say, I hate this person, they're ruining my lives, this boss is just such a torture, and every aspect of my life is now on a down because this person is ruining my life, right? That's one approach, and plenty of people take it. Or they come and they have this like resentment towards that boss. So that's one method of dealing with it. Another method of dealing with it is, okay, Hashem, I understand at the end of the day, beginning and end of the day, everyone around me is a puppet, so to speak, under your control, and you're choosing the life for me. What lessons should I be taking? How should I be handling this? Where should I be? Whether are you trying to encourage me to find a different job? Are you trying to give me a sign that I should be heading somewhere else? Or are you trying to teach me how to communicate better with this boss and try and see if there's something I can do from this, right? So it's the same scenario. How we choose to view it, how we choose to handle it could go in one way or the other, which is a great, just to give yet another shout out to the concept of having a mashpia, someone to speak to that could help us make the decisions and remember what's the Torah perspective. What does Chassidus have to teach us? What's Hashem glasses, Living Chassidus logo? What is the Hashem glasses aspect that I can be viewing this situation? It's still very painful. It's still very hard. It's still not a simple situation. But now we feel a sense of clarity. Okay, Hashem is here. Let's not forget Hashem in the picture. How can we either work with this? How can we improve it? What can we do to handle this properly? Does that make sense? Yes? Okay.
By overcoming our Yetzer Hara and doing Hashem's will in a world in which He is not rarely perceived, we are demonstrating that it's not devoid of His presence, Chas v'shalom. It's not just religious things that are part of our Avodas Hashem. Everything a Yid does, every decision he makes, and every perspective or attitude he adopts is part of his connection to Hashem.
Can I take a moment?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You have to get like a dual.
I know I should get one. Actually, I have an idea for that. Okay, so here's an interesting part about this. When we first started Limit Chassidus, it's about to be 13 years, 12 and a half years ago, Kainahara. I know! There's a lot of bar mitzvahs coming up. When we started Living Chassidus, one of the main concepts and one of the reasons why we ended up calling it Living Chassidus is because of this idea that it's not just, Hashem isn't just in the Maida'ani in the morning. Hashem isn't just in the brachos before you eat. Hashem isn't just in, do I say chitas, do I daven Shemona Esrei? Hashem is in every aspect of our lives, the way we perceive our relationships, the way we communicate to each other, the way we see struggles that we've been through, the way we approach opportunities in our future. Are we hiding from a positive opportunity because we're just avoiding discomfort? Or are we seeing Hashem, maybe you're opening some windows for me, maybe you're opening some doors for me, maybe you're opening, So our entire processing, I think I remember Rabbi Yisrael Glick did a farbrengen for us, if you want to find it on our recordings. I'm trying to remember what it was called, but he basically was talking about how Chassidus sets up your processing mode. Like there's the hardware and there's the software, right? This phone isn't just glass and metal and a battery inside. There is glass, metal, and a battery inside, but that's not what sends you messages and receives your calls. It's the system that's set up. So our lives are also the way we eat, the way we think, the way we process our emotions, but how we do that, the operating system, that can be shaped through the concept of Chassidus, and then we're living Chassidus. We're not just learning Chassidus, and we're not just doing Jewish things and then living our lives as two separate entities. Does that make sense? We are integrating it. It's not just the Jewish religious things. We are living with these concepts in every aspect of our lives. Hi.
This brings Hashem's presence into a context where it seemed absent. This context is not just the physical world, but the human spirit. Each one of us, with our unique circumstances and our unique set of strengths and weaknesses, poses a slightly different variation on the same question. Can Hashem also be found here? By creating the world in this way, Hashem gives us something that nothing else in creation has: the opportunity and ability to be His partner in creation, to be a giver and not only a receiver. Like Rabbi Akiva told the wicked Turnus Rufus, Hashem creates wheat and gives us the job of perfecting it through our effort to grind it into flour and bake bread.
Beautiful story. I should have prepared for it. I didn't realize we didn't cover that story yet. There's a beautiful story of a Rabbi Akiva had a public what's it called? Not an argument, a debate. Thank you. With this Turnus Rufus. If somebody knows the story better than me, I read this book last year, so it's a little rusty. Anyway, he had this debate, and one of the things that this Greek Roman must have been Roman governor was complaining to Rabbi Akiva about is the concept of bris. How does bris make sense? Why, if Hashem could have made this part of the body already done, so why do you need to go defile it? Especially because they so idolize the human body. So if you're oh my God, my English. You're what? I mean, they don't consider fixing. You are defiling it according to their perspective. A bris is defiling? No.
Defiling is the right word.
Ruining it. My English is out. I'm sorry. Anyway, I think my Spanish is also out. So I'm just like, I'm just out. Bye. That's what I thought. Okay. So thank you. So my English is not so out. Anyway, so therefore, Rabbi Akiva said, Hashem gave us a body, not because the body itself is perfect. He gave us a body to use and therefore to perfect. So the example that he gave is the same way that Hashem gave us wheat. Now it's our job to pick it up. Grind it into flour and then bake bread. We are here. Oh, that was scary. We are here to improve the world. The world isn't perfect and now we're ruining it. We are here to improve it. And that's a big part also of Kavanah Sabriya, that we have a challenge. Yes, we do have a challenge. We all have a challenge, as I was teaching my children. We have a challenge in making a parnasa. But it's not because Hashem's trying to torture us. Hashem's trying to help us elevate this space, trying to help us elevate this money, trying to help us elevate this long, crazy subway ride that some people in this room may or may not do at crazy, ridiculous hours of the day. So it's our job to elevate and improve that. It's our job to elevate and improve that office space, that whatever, maybe other things are happening in the office space. So again, the challenge isn't to torture us. The challenge is to improve not just us, but the world in of itself. Make sense? Up next, does somebody else want to read? Yay, thank you.
Awareness of Kavanas Habriya is an important foundation in our lives, an indispensable source of strength and clarity in facing adversity. It shows us that the difficulty of our Avodah is itself important and valuable, an insight which gives us added energy and enthusiasm. The harder it gets, the more strength and encouragement we take, knowing that it's giving Hashem that much more nachas, and this awareness also makes the burden a little bit lighter. It also provides an answer to probably the most frequently asked question in the history of the world. When bad things happen to good people, the people in question often ask, "What did I do to deserve this?" They feel aggravated and oppressed. Bitachon reassures us that it's ultimately good, which helps, but Kavanas Habriya gives us an entirely different insight. First, when something unpleasant happens, we're supposed to ask that question, not rhetorically, but with all sincerity. We're supposed to thoroughly and honestly examine our behavior and address shortcomings we find. However, keeping in mind Kavanas Habriya, if we've done that assessment and can find nothing that justifies the difficulty we face, we should consider that it's not actually a punishment. It's an assignment, a part of our Avodas Hashem, and a sayan designed not to punish us or break us chas v'shalom, but to lift us up. Consider the 10 Nisayanis of Avram Avinu. He was sentenced to be burned alive for his devotion to Hashem, displaced from his homeland, suffered a famine, had his beloved wife kidnapped twice, went through decades of infertility, and more, culminating in the command to sacrifice his long-awaited and dearly cherished only son. Did anyone ask, what did Avram do to deserve this? No, we recognize that these were all demonstrations of the strength of his neshama and his connection to Hashem, which earned him and all of his descendants an eternal bond with the Creator himself. The same is true of the nisyonos that we face. They're not punishments, they're part of our Avodas Hashem, the purpose for which we and all of existence were created. This lays to rest all the emotional turmoil that comes with grievance. It also grants us well-founded confidence. Correctly seeing his circumstance as a task from Hashem dispels any feeling of inadequacy a yid might feel in facing temptation or other nisyonos. No matter how difficult the challenge may seem, he's confident that he can overcome it. After all, it was created by Hashem to reveal the true power of his neshama, which is greater and more powerful than anything else in creation, and not bound or limited by nature. Hashem surely gives us everything we need to fulfill the purpose for which he created us.
Powerful. Okay, so let's take a moment to process this. So essentially, when we come and we ask the question, why do not good things or not feel good things happen to really wonderful, good people? There's two, yeah, it's huge. it's a big one. There's two aspects, which I think we need to keep in mind both of them, because if we get stuck in one, then we're missing out a big chunk. Okay, so the first aspect is, one second, maybe there is something we could do to be helping the situation, and this is not simple, and this takes a lot of sensitivity, and usually it takes a good, loving friend who can, or a mashpia, who can help you through this conversation. Let's say, for example, as a parent, right? So let's say a child does something that is not great. So we could come and say, the child is terrible, blah, blah, blah. Or we could take a moment as a parent and say, what could I have done better to better educate this child, or to better give them the tools to process this, or whatever. Now, if we stay in that and we blame ourselves for every outcome, then we've totally chucked out the Emuna and Bitachon that we just learned, right? Because it isn't our fault, and it isn't only our fault, and everything is not entirely in our shoulders. There's Hashem, and Hashem's taking care of this child, and Hashem has a plan for this child, just like Hashem has a plan for you. Okay, so anytime we see something, let's say Chas v'shalom lost a job, okay? So we come in, we say, oh, it's my fault because I did this and I did this and I shoulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? But that doesn't lead us anywhere good. Now, is there something that I could learn for the future, that I could do differently, that I could be, I don't know, more attentive to detail, or more attentive to the boss's desires, or whatever it is? Can we learn a lesson from a struggle? We can absolutely learn a lesson from a struggle. Now, we shouldn't just stay stuck there. Because if we stay stuck there, again, we forget about Hashem, and then we miss the point. Now, the second part that he mentions here, which is really powerful, and the first time I read this, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so true. I have had this conversation with people that are like, how could Hashem be so mean? Avram Avinu is the greatest of the great. We say he's a Merkava. He's like literally does whatever Hashem says jump, and Avram Avinu says how high. Like, or not even. He just jumps and hopes that he figured out. You know what I mean? Like, how amazing is Avram Avinu? And it's another test and another test and another test. But how do we word it? We word it as a test. Hashem already knew how great he was. He's showing Avraham Avinu how great he is so that he himself can know it. And sometimes I think about this a lot during Elul. There's a famous saying, the rear view mirror. What?
Obviously, we are closer than that. Yeah.
That's also good. Not the one I was going for, but that's also a good one. The one on the side, what is it called? It's that one is smaller than the windshield at the front, right? Because sometimes we need to yes, we have no. No, you know the mirror that you look to the back. Rear view mirror.
Oh,
Thank you. It's about this size, right?
Yeah.
But the windshield forward is gigantic, right?
I feel like you said this once before.
I think I did,
Yeah.
probably during Elul, because
You're
that's when I
saying, like,
usually
why
think
it's
about it.
smaller,
Yes, it's smaller because
because we're looking forward.
that's what happened. That's what it was. But we have such an incredible opportunity forward. We have a future ahead of us. And fine, that was a challenge, but Hashem believes in us because we're meant to be going forward into this vast, beautiful future of ours. Okay? So these challenges are not for the past. They're for us to see our potential going forward. Does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense, but why does Hashem have to be like, I'm gonna give you this like horrendous thing, and then like, wow, look how brave you were, like you walked through the fire. Like, why does he have to test us like that? You just be like, you're brave, you believe it. Cool. I know I'm brave.
That's a good one.
I'm just saying, like, that would be nice.
I
was just going through a lot of challenges, and through a lot of fires, and it's like, at this point, I should just become a firewoman, you know? Like, accept my fate. But no, it's like, I'm saying seriously.
I hear you. I hear
Joking
you.
aside, like, I really have
So
a-
again,
yeah.
I will say this
Like,
again
why is it-
for the like fourth class in a row. I can never tell this to anybody else. But if I were to be going through that, I am. So I'm gonna talk to
Okay.
myself out loud.
God,
Okay?
you're not talking to me, you're
I'm not
saying someone who's-
correct.
Okay.
Someone who's going through a struggle, aka me right now,
Got it.
I'm gonna tell this to myself. Okay?
Got it, okay.
If my life came as easily as just Hashem telling me, Michal, my darling, sweet, mushy, squishy, squishy, poo, 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 mwah, 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 you are just the greatest. Go right ahead with life. I would probably be sitting on my couch,
Probably.
reading a book, enjoying a heck of a lot of sugar. And if you know, I don't eat sugar, so that's a thing, right?
Okay.
And I would just probably be a couch potato. I think that's the saying, right? That would be me, because that's comfy and that's good. And if I don't have to get up, I'm telling you, in the winter, sometimes I'm in my apartment for days. I work there, I live there, I parent there, I cook dinner there, I wake up and sleep there, like, just because I hate the cold. So if we aren't pushed to get out, aka to go to all the Living Chassidus events that I am involved in several times a week, I would never go to a place where I'm uncomfortable. So same thing with a little toddler, right? A toddler would love to stay home with mommy
Like, we wouldn't learn if we didn't go out there.
if we
wouldn't learn
didn't
if
go
Hashem
through it.
If Hashem didn't give us challenges to go through, we wouldn't.
Correct.
No one would take that.
And no one would
choice.
believe in
Yeah.
themselves to such an extent.
True.
Like, for
I can
example,
tell you from today until tomorrow, where we're like, haha, yeah, you told me that yesterday.
correct, that's so cute. Thanks so much. You know, like, that's so nice. But like, for example, the whole trip and the whole situation we just dealt with and going to Israel, and it so broke us out of our comfort zone that we're like, oh my gosh, I believe in myself in such a bigger way. Like, there's so much more that's available to my world.
When I traveled also. Like, I was like, whoa.
I can
not
do
realize-
big
like,
things.
I can do this. I survived. To tell
Yes.
the tale. Even
Correct.
Yeah.
So correct. So
Yeah.
again, going through the experience, it feels
Some people do
sucky,
it. Okay.
but going through it, it's different. That's what it is. So again, he's not trying to torture you.
Got
He's
it.
just trying to show you You could do this, and you can do even
Michal,
greater
I'm the
than this.
messenger of Hashem.
There you go. Thank you.
I don't know what you're going through, but you could do this.
I can do this.
You're a rock star.
L'chaim. Yes. Okay, we're on page 19.
Torah. Although our Avos and the Shvatim served Hashem with devotion, paving the way for us, our mission as Yidden truly began at Matan Torah. It was at that moment that Hashem removed the barrier that separated the heavens from the earth, the spiritual from the physical, allowing the world to become permeated by Kedusha, a mission with which He tasked us, His holy nation. Over the objections of the Malachim, Hashem gave us in this physical world the Torah, which contains His infinite wisdom. It goes even further than that. Chazal tell us that the first word of the Aseret Dibros, Enechi, stands for Ana Nafshi Ksavis Yahavis, which can be translated as I have written into the Torah and given to you myself. Hashem infused His essence into the Torah. It is through the Torah and the mitzvahs it conveys that we connect to Hashem and also reveal our true nature, which is already connected to Hashem. The Torah is our life and our wisdom and our discernment in the eyes of the world. It's only through the Torah that we know the truth about our neshama, Emuna and Bitachon, and the purpose of creation and so much more. The word Torah comes from the same root as Hira, guidance, because it's the practical instructions for how we should live. More than that, Hira also means decree or directive, because Torah is the channel through which Hashem decreed the world into existence. In other words, the Torah is the blueprint which laid out the circumstances of creation and tools Hashem used to implement it through Asar Mamaris. Torah does not just describe reality, it creates reality. It's the channel of life and energy for us and for the entire world. Without Torah, we would be lost, groping in the darkness like the nations of the world. Facing the challenges of life without this eternal and strong and solid foundation, we would be constantly reacting and adapting our ideas to each situation, ending up with unstable ideas and positions that are not rooted in truth. The Torah reveals the essence and truth of creation and cuts through the confusion to guide us in every situation, straight and true. There's nothing that's not addressed by Torah, because everything that exists comes from Torah. The Torah is called Torah, the light of Torah, because it sheds light on and brings clarity to every aspect of creation.
Okay. So not only did Hashem create not only did Hashem create the world through the blueprint of the Torah, but in it, He also gave us the direction on how to do it. And I think we joked about this a few classes ago of reading the instruction manual before trying to tinker with whatever it is that we just purchased on whatever store.
You buy something from IKEA and you're like, oh no, there's extra pieces.
There's extra pieces, exactly, the IKEA extra pieces. You're like, suddenly a few years later, it's like, dee, dee, dee. You know, like the door like wiggles and jiggles or whatever. That's what that, yeah, exactly. And we either we kept the pieces and then we lost them, or we didn't keep the pieces and now we just have a wiggly jiggly door. So that is the importance of Torah. But not only that, I think that a really, really powerful aspect of it is that if we don't have an objective guide, then our mind, our desires, our logic is going to drive us to do crazy wacko things. Not to sound controversial or anything, but Tide Pods! Yes, I didn't think of that one, but that's such a good example. If we don't have a concept of a mitzvah that tells us to care for our health and don't do dumb things, so then we follow a fad and we stick horribly terrible. And then, can I tell you, people got very, very sick. Then they hired, whatever, I read a whole, anyway, they hired famous people to make advertisements on television and whatever social media to tell people not to eat Tide Pods, because that's how, like, our brains were, okay? But then you know what happened? It backfired, because whoever lived under a rock throughout that year or few months that it was now saw it as a general thing, from football players to actors to models, telling you not to eat a Tide Pod, and then they got so creative that you know what they did? They ate the Tide Pod. Okay, so after the marketing came out to tell people not to do dumb suicidal things, you know what happened? The actual helpline for poison control skyrocketed. Like, that's how.
Listen, natural selection. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's terrible.
It's terrible. It's terrible. So anyway, my point is that in the same way as the USSR thought that communism made sense and then destroyed their people for many years, or the most logical, scientific, advanced country of Germany suddenly turned Nazi, and it made sense. There was logical sense to why we should kill all Jews, gypsies, and anyone that looks or is different than our race. When logic is the only ruler and we don't have an objective right and wrong, we go nuts. We're just cuckoo people.
So when there's not, when the morals are lost in a society, the society will crumble. That's
Correct. And just to add one more controversial piece, AI. They recently did a bunch of tests on AI where they gave AI a prompt to make a company successful. And AI went to literally immoral, horrible, blackmailing, horrible things to push the CEO and the C-suite people, like directors, to do what AI felt would make the company successful. They would send terrible messages. If you don't follow the directives that AI just gave you, then we will send your wife a message saying blah blah blah, or we will. And they started controlling. Anyway, if we don't have the Terra, then we're kind of doomed.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't currently know our gender, if you know what I mean. So like, if we don't know what's right and wrong, if we don't know what's up and down, then we're
Or I would say a religious source, because I'm saying like.
Terra is the one and only, because there's other religious sources that tell us to kill people,
Okay.
including
yeah,
us.
okay,
So,
yeah.
a very crucial part of other religions is to kill all of us. So,
Okay, never mind.
yeah, infidels, exactly.
Yeah, that's immoral.
Correct. So there's Terra right and there's Terra wrong, and that keeps us
In line.
in line. Correct. Okay.
Where are we? Oh, that's it. No, is that?
Okay.
His
Yeah.
infinite kindness? In his infinite kindness, Hashem didn't keep the Torah secret hidden from mankind. He gave it to us through Moshe Rabbeinu so that we would know the purpose of our creation and how to achieve it. Because the existence of nature and its rules flow from and through Torah, Torah is not subject to the limitations that are intrinsic to creation. Torah will always supersede nature. As you've discussed, this is also true of our neshama. The difference is that our neshama has to compete with our body's natural perspective in order to express its clarity, something which is often difficult. The Torah is the way to do that. Studying Torah reveals our essence, energizing and strengthening it, the way food sustains the body, enabling us to triumph over our Yetzer Hara. As Chazal say, if you encounter this despicable Yetzer Hara, drag him to the hall of Torah study. Learning Torah's emes gives us the clarity that's so critical to overcoming our Yetzer Hara and its lies. Human logic is limited and flawed. Hashem's wisdom is infinite and perfect. Torah connects us to Hashem's wisdom and shows us how to think clearly and perceptively, enabling us to interpret the events in our lives correctly. Encountering new and foreign circumstances in a place called prison, it is only through the wisdom of Hashem that He gave us in the Torah that I was able to see things for what they were and find the way forward. In each case, I would ask myself, how do our holy Chachamim look at this situation? How does Rabbeinu Bechaya teach us to navigate this decision in light of Shar Bitachon? If I would have relied on my own human intellect, I would have become ensnared in the many and devious traps a place called prison sets to lure people into a prison mentality. Taras Hashem saw me through the darkness and across the tightrope with my neshama pure, my sanity safeguarded, and my heart unpolluted. Even when our learning is not directly applicable to our daily challenges, adopting Torah thinking is an important part of centering our lives on Hashem and our neshama. I found that Torah learning allowed me to express tainug, spiritual enjoyment in my connection to Hashem, even in that cold, dark place. This diminished the emotional and physical pain of being in a place called prison.
Beautiful. So I want to share another aspect to this, which is that fine. Another aspect of this, which is which is the idea. I'm trying to remember who said it. Some amazing speaker, I don't remember who it was, said once at a Chassidus Farbringen a few years ago, he asked the question, which is the line that the Rebbe says repeats the most throughout all of Sichos? And a bunch of people were like this and that and Tera, Tzivalan, like they like kept trying to quote different things. And he said from his understanding or his whatever, I'm trying to remember where he got it from, but he said the words Tera Milashan Haira. Like this concept that Tera isn't just an intellectual question answer halacha. I mean, there is halacha, but it's not only halacha. There's a literal guidebook to how we see things, how we live life. And one of the things I like to do, I'm not always so consistent, but I like to do is, I think it's called Daily Wisdom, that little, right? And I love that it not only does it have the question and the connection to the pasuk, but it also has the uvechein. The how can I live life differently? How can I take a lesson from this, even if it's literally a little snippet, right?
Practical application on the bottom.
It's beautiful. So how can I live my life better? So yes, we should make the effort of learning the Sikha. We should make the effort of learning the Mimer. And yes, sometimes a Mimer takes us into like all kinds of worlds of Atzilus and Bria and whatever, and on a high trip all the way up there. But the more we practice this system of learning, the more we process our learning, the more we are infused with these concepts, the more we start to think and put on our Hashem glasses. We start to think the way Hashem and the Torah wants us to think. So it's a constant avodah to try to bring this to our lives, to try to make it real, to try to practicalize it.
You have to consistently learn the input that Chassidus or Torah or Hashem's moral compass into your world.
Yes, exactly. That's the one. Okay, I see the time. You're a pretty fast reader. Are you up for a little more? Okay. Can we try and cover a little more? You guys up for this?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Mitzvahs.
I don't know if we'll finish the whole thing, but we'll give a little more. Let's do mitzvahs. Let's see if we can do this.
The word mitzvah means commandment, but it's also related to the word savsa, which means connection. It's only through fulfilling Hashem's commandments that we're able to connect with the infinite creator. Knowing that a mitzvah is a commandment gives us a strong feeling of duty and obligation. Knowing that a mitzvah is a connection to Hashem gives us gratitude, energy, and enthusiasm for this tremendous opportunity, this gift from Hashem. In Chaya Chana, Rabbeinu Bechaya points to this connection as very important to a person who doesn't have the friends or family he would like, and as a result feels lonely. He needs to remember that he has a close connection with Hashem, which he expresses through doing mitzvahs. This eliminates the feelings of loneliness and isolation he would otherwise feel. I reflected on this very frequently in a place called prison. I constantly reminded myself that Hashem was with me, which was a powerful consolation. How did I know Hashem was with me? Because I was with him, connected to him by doing everything I could, even if it required a sacrifice, to fulfill his mitzvahs. Our Yetzer Hara would have us think of mitzvahs as burdens, to be borne when necessary and lightened whenever possible, particularly in difficult situations like a place called prison. It urges us to limit our involvement and exertion in Torah mitzvahs to the minimum and take advantage of any possible leniency, lightening the load. The truth is that Torah mitzvahs are powerful gifts that connect us to Hashem and enable us to rise above the adversity. Diminishing them in any way only weakens their effect on us, making us that much more aligned with the world which is so full of the challenges we seek to overcome. Recognizing that, I would keep every stringency and hider I could, each one intensifying the effect of the mitzvah and its assertion that I live in a totally different world. Fulfilling the mitzvahs doesn't just help us survive our challenges. It actually brings about the salvation we need. Hashem acts mida keneged mida, as Pirkei Avos says, and Rabbeinu Bechaya quotes. When Hashem sees that we have embraced his will over our own natural desires, he will ensure that we receive the pleasant good that we trust him to provide. The best part is that everything can be a mitzvah. There are obviously the 613 mitzvahs from the Torah, the mitzvahs derabbanan, and the myriad minhagim, but even the most mundane physical activities could also be a mitzvah. B'chol derech hachadeyu, we are told, in all of our ways know Hashem. Let all your actions be for the sake of heaven.
Okay. This is a huge change in our perception of mitzvahs. I think I don't know how people grew up, but there is this concept of a burden of a mitzvah. I have to do this. I mean, I know this is a bit of a sore topic right now because we're heading into a fast, a very long fast, which for a lot of us feels like a very big burden, to be honest. I'm speaking to myself. But this concept and this shift in perception has really made a big, I mean, again, unless this is causing you to have health issues and you know what I mean? I'm not talking about, well, I love Hashem so much, I'm gonna fast 72 hours. You know, like we don't have to, do the mitzvah how you're meant to do it. And if it's not working for you, then call a Rav and say, hi, I need something else. Okay? But exactly. But the idea that doing this mitzvah, Shabbos, for example, I know Shabbos can be very hard for people. Sometimes you're just bored and you just want to do other things, or not listening to music during the 3 weeks, guilty as charged, is one of the hardest things for me. So it feels like a burden. It feels like this is so heavy, so hard, so obnoxious. Why is Hashem doing this to me? We can make a shift. We can make a change. We can see it as, I get to bring Hashem flowers. And I know which flowers he likes. I want to do this loving thing for him, and he's there for me. And when we're seeing a mitzvah as a relationship with Hashem, then suddenly this becomes enjoyable. I don't know if you've had a friend. I mean, you guys all have friends, but that type of friend that you're like, oh my gosh, her birthday's coming up. I'm so excited to do something. It's not just like an acquaintance. It's somebody that you think about, that you see something on the street, you're like, I'm thinking about you, check this out. Or you see something, you have an inside joke that you share, and every time you think about it, you laugh and you think about her. So that level of friendship, that level of relationship, that warmth, that's how we can see every mitzvah and every opportunity to connect to Hashem. Does that make sense?
Chazal tell us that our intentions are to serve Hashem. Every act is a mitzvah. Chazal tell us that when our intentions are to serve Hashem, every act is a mitzvah. Working to provide for ourselves and our families so we can serve Hashem, eating to have the strength to daven, learn or do a mitzvah, and even sleeping to renew ourselves for another day. They can all be mitzvahs, each one connecting us to the infinite Creator. Mitzvahs also help us overcome our inner struggle, our own nature, and our natural perspective on the world, enabling us to see the world as it truly is and live in it as Hashem intends. As we've discussed, the world imposes its version of reality on us at every turn. The neshama is embedded in a body and has to participate in all the body's actions. We learn something with each action and interaction, training ourselves in the nature of reality. When we're financially strapped, for example, and we work and earn, we learn many lessons, most of them wrong. We learn that we learn that cause leads to effect, that our efforts are an active ingredient in the outcome, that our livelihood comes from our employer, and so on and so forth. While the essence of our neshama stands above the fray and isn't affected, it can become obscured and we can begin to adopt these wrong conclusions. Mitzvahs are like the spacesuit for the neshama, allowing us to operate in this foreign environment without suffering any ill effects. When the action is a mitzvah, the most important aspect of that action is that it is being done for Hashem, and that it's connecting us to Hashem. This insulates us, protecting us from being misled into accepting that the world has an independent existence and power. Taking our example of working for our livelihood, when we go to work because Hashem wants us to create a channel for his bracha, and we keep that truth in mind as we work, none of the goings on at work, the cause and effect, the ups and downs can confuse us about who really provides for us. Torah illuminates our hearts and our minds, opening the door to a different reality. Mitzvahs usher us through that door to inhabit a world where everything is an opportunity to connect to Hashem. As we've mentioned, recognizing that something is a mitzvah is a source of well-founded confidence when we face the world, because Hashem surely gives us the strength to do anything he has commanded us to do. Throughout my difficult ordeal, whenever I detected that something was a mitzvah, I knew I had the strength to persevere. It's true that doing a mitzvah requires strength and clarity, but it also provides strength and clarity, which is extra motivation to not only do the mitzvah, but to do it as carefully and beautifully as possible, even when that demands sacrifice.
Whoa, that is powerful. I love the example that he gave of the mitzvahs are a space suit for the neshama. It like reconnects us to what's up, what's down, what's left, what's right. And when we're constantly seeing it that way, we're like being insulated from the struggles. I also love the example he gave about all the lessons that we learn that are wrong. I remember when my husband was we were spent many months trying to figure out whether he used to work at the Olive Institute, and he would get a paycheck. And then before that, I used to work at America's, and I would get a paycheck. And having that stability of that paycheck coming in, thinking my boss is the one that's in charge and he's gonna give me the paycheck, so therefore he is the person who pays my, you know what I mean? Like, there's a hand that feeds, and then switching that to be that for both of us to, I mean, we did it at different stages and a few years apart, but like for both of us to work for Chassidus was a big jump, because then you're the boss that has to, that's responsibility on your shoulders. A lot of people have a very hard time with being the business owner because it feels that responsibility. And going through that stage, we had to constantly remind ourselves, even when that boss, and even though that boss's signature was in the bottom of that paycheck, he wasn't the one, or she wasn't the one paying us. We did the work, we made the keli, the Abishter gave us the bracha, and that's how we got paid. And that reminder is based on us learning Torah and reminding ourselves, doing mitzvahs, seeing that Hashem is the one that's in charge, and that gives us the kayach and the clarity and the path forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Hashem should bench everybody to see Hashem in every aspect. Man, I'm really torn.
I just wanted to say something quick.
Yeah.
That it's, it was mitzvahs. I think what's so cool about how he expressed his point was that if we just shift our perspective, like as he was saying about like the lessons that we learned that were wrong, that like, yeah, we may view the world and like it might not be like the right angle. It's like, imagine you're looking through binoculars, but if you're looking at the sky, you're not gonna see the ground, So it's like we just shift our perspective, and then like, so that shift in perspective is like, oh, I just didn't realize I was holding it wrong. You know what I mean? And like, so that really resonated with me, that it's something so simple is like the hardest thing to, like, it's easy to make that decision, but I'm saying it's the hardest shift. But it's going to be a worthwhile pursuit to just shift your perspective, because then you'll start seeing everything how you need to see it.
Correct.
Chassidus.
Yes.
With the Hashem
glasses, exactly. I know what's interesting is that we kind of we need that constant reminder sometimes. It's like, again, that's why I read this book over and over and over, because it's
so obvious.
But like, so yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so simple, but yet it's so hard to like ingrain these lessons into our nature.
yes.
So that's what I'm saying, the challenging part. But you're right, it's so simple to be like, you know what? Wow, I'm just looking at the world incorrectly
Yeah.
or not accurately. And it's like you just need a shift, and then everything becomes clear.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's that constant reminder, and then suddenly you're in the right place, and it feels like a domino effect, like tick, tick, tick,
Yeah,
tick, tick, tick,
exactly.
tick, tick, tick,
Exactly.
tick.
It's incredible when you shift one perspective. Right, as you were saying, it really can affect your vision. Hashem classes, you know what I mean? Like, we're constantly taking them off. I mean, okay, I'm like, I can't, everyone's blurry now. So I'm saying, the point is that, like, my point exactly is that, like, our vision is a little skewed when we take off our Hashem classes. But once we have to consistently, you know, constantly put them back on. You know what I mean? You go to sleep, you take off your glasses, you put them back on.
Correct.
Glasses. You know, you could get the point.
100%.
That yeah, we have to constantly, consistently, you know, learn
Yes.
and apply it to ourselves. So
Yes.
I think that's so cool.
My friend and I, we've been in a thing called Growth Connection Network for quite some time. And we've seen how we've changed, or like how like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, for myself, like I was a girl that wanted to become a rabbi, like all these things, and now like I'm completely different. Like we see, like in each other, whatever, like how we've changed and
Just what you're saying, like from a shift in perspective.
yeah,
Wow.
shift in
That's
perspective, a shift in just
Yeah.
where I was, a shift in just like
Wow.
a lot, and like also we see like every week even just how each of us take the parsha or take one thing, interpret it differently, or express the idea of grow in our own ways. Like for a while, for me, it was mostly with writing a song during class. Someone else who usually does some art. Like let's have our own
To
ways
each their own. Right.
Beautiful.
But like I love the fact that it just all comes down to a simple choice. Like it's really that simple in the end. It really is. I mean, hard to apply
I was
it.
gonna say, yeah.
But I'm saying the answer is really that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think is so incredible. All of this.
Yes,
So
agreed.
Yeah.
And I
So it's simple, guys.
very much support, because it is quote unquote simple, but the
Yeah.
consistency I very much support.
Yeah.
Keep learning, keep rereading. I don't know if you saw, but like I also have erasable pens and they're colorful, so it makes me happy. But I underline things, I make stars, I make like sometimes you just need to like, yeah, exactly.
Like affirmations.
Be careful where you leave it with the erasable.
Yeah, I know, the heat.
Guys,
That
one
is
of our
in the
Russian
freezer.
affirmations.
Oh really? I didn't know you could put it back in the freezer. That's
My
cool.
mom found
Yeah,
out
for
from
real.
someone because I wrote the newspaper for the school I was going to
Oh gosh.
in middle school, and I had interviewed my friend. She won the yearbook cover contest,
Whoa.
and I had left it in the sun at recess because I just left my notebook on the table where we left things,
And all your notes disappeared.
and so it was,
Oh
I
no.
was trying to decipher from whatever it was, and then my mom had, I don't know if she Googled it or had talked to someone in the company of those pens that use the erase highlighter, and she found out like just put it in the freezer.
Okay, I want to try that.
I didn't want someone in my yearbooks and it worked.
I want to try that. Beautiful. Okay, so I want to finish off how we started. I want to thank you, good catch. I want to say that tonight's learning is Lili Nishmas for Nissim ben Nissim HaKayin, and for strength and revealed good, and lots of love and support. And she should be reunited. Her and her whole family should be reunited with her loved ones. Everyone should be reunited with their loved ones. Esther Malka was Chaya Chana. We should have only brachos and revealed good. And we'll see you guys next time. It's Hashem. Okay.